Davis Warren was the surprise starter for the Michigan Wolverines at quarterback, but Alex Orji threw the first touchdown pass of the season, and Michigan began its defense of its national championship. But we have a few concerns. Locked On Big Ten Live starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten Live. I'm Craig Shemon. Coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we're brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast with zero sugar and a convenient portable size. It's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This order is only valid until September 30th in one order and cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. All right, Michigan starts a new era. They win 30-10, but the game was a lot closer than that. Plus, later on, Penn State has an offense. Dylan Raiola, he's pretty good. Ohio State, they look good, and Oregon is finishing up as we speak, and Iowa's defense looks good as usual. Plus, we have two huge games next week at the end of the podcast we want to preview. So let's talk about it. Michigan opens up the defense of its national championship. A lot of changes in Ann Arbor since last year. And let's get into it here. You know, the third play of the season, Michigan gets an interception. Zeke Berry hauls it in. Davis Warren then comes out as the starter. This is a bit of a surprise because all arrows pointed toward Alex Orji being the starting quarterback. Of course, you know the story of Davis Warren, a former walk-on, battled cancer, leukemia in high school, didn't play a lot in high school. So that's why he was a walk-on at Michigan, been with the program for a while. And Sherrone Moore said just before the broadcast on NBC tonight, he said, look, he just completed a lot more passes during camp, so we were going to give him the start. Alex Orji, he did come in on a second and goal situation, and he threw a touchdown pass. It was his first touchdown pass of his career. Threw it to Donovan Edwards out of the backfield. So Michigan rolling 7-0, 11 minutes to go in the first quarter. 110,000 people are going nuts in the big house thinking, we're just picking up where we left off last year. No problem. But the second drive, they had to punt. And then, you know, the Michigan D caused Fresno to go 3 and out. It was kind of a little bit back and forth. Davis Warren that came out and heaved an underthrown ball that was intercepted at the goal line, and Fresno returned it to the 35. Cam Lockridge ended up with the interception. And we're all going, wait a minute. Michigan had like 4 interceptions all year last year, and we're chucking it away here if you're a Michigan fan. Anyway, it was a little surprising to see. It was an underthrown ball. Good thing for Michigan fans that Fresno with 3 and out there ended up punting. And Michigan started their next drive on their own 12-yard line. And just like that, the end of the first quarter, it was 7-0. Okay. Kind of feeling each other out a little bit here. Wasn't looking spectacular. Then right at the beginning of the second quarter, there was a 3rd and inches, and Michigan got stuffed and they had to punt. Can you remember one time last year they got stuffed on 3rd and inches? That was like an automatic first down last year. 5 new offensive linemen on the front. They're good. They're going to be fine, but it takes some time to get that unit together. And it was a little rusty coming out here in this game here on Saturday night. Then an observation made during the broadcast. Wink Martindale, defensive coordinator, was weaving people in and out of the lineup. Will Johnson, their best corner, was out of the game. We thought maybe he was injured. Went down to a sideline report on NBC. No, he wasn't injured. It was just a rotation of corners. And in fact, at one time, both starting corners were on the sidelines. I don't know, bit of a question mark, maybe foretelling something that may happen later in the game. But Michigan got lucky. Fresno missed an open touchdown pass. They had to settle for a field goal. So now it's 7-3. We're halfway through the second quarter. Then Michigan struggling on the offensive line. They start changing centers out. They got like 3 guys that were battling for the starting job at center in Michigan. So they're making changes on the offensive line. They're making changes at corner. They're rotating. They're kind of feeling out who's going to do what here this year under game situation. Then there was a couple of passes from Davis Warren to Colston Loveland on a drive, but that petered out, and they're 0 for 4 on their first third down attempts. They were averaging on third down 7.8 yards to go. They were always in third and long. Again, Michigan fan hasn't seen this in a couple of years. Credit to the Fresno defense. They came to play. So at this point, we're figuring, all right, is Fresno's defense super good, or is Michigan's offense going to struggle a little bit this year? Michigan at this point settles for a 45-yard field goal with 31 seconds to go in the half, and it's 10-3. Bit of a surprising score. I was also a little curious there why Fresno didn't call a timeout. They could have got the ball back with like a minute and a half to go. They let it go down to 31 seconds. That was weird. I'm surprised they did that. So Michigan goes in with a 10-3 lead over Fresno State. Only 89 yards of total offense in the first half by Michigan. They haven't had a first half that bad since 2016. But Sherrone Moore said in his halftime interview he was happy with the way Davis Warren was playing at quarterback, and he was pretty happy with his defensive backs. So we roll into the second half. After converting 2 third downs on a drive, it looked like they were starting to roll a little bit. Donovan Edwards finally made a nice run, but the offensive line had a holding. Josh Preeb, the new transfer in from Northwestern, got called for holding, so that ruined that run. And they had to settle for a 53-yard field goal. Dominic Jada, again, was dynamite tonight, kicking for the Michigan Wolverines. Where would they be without him? He hits a 53-yard attempt, and with 9:21 to go in the third, Michigan's now up 13-3, up by a couple of scores. Defense stepped it up. There was that sack by Rashawn Benny, and made a couple of nice tackles downfield, and then Fresno had to punt to Michigan halfway through the third period. Alex Orji came in, and it looks like Alex Orji is still going to be a special change of pace guy, just like he was with J.J. McCarthy. I was a little bit surprised to see that tonight. Thought he would play more. I actually thought he was going to be the starter. Although if you watch our podcast on a regular basis, I thought Warren should have been the starter based on what I saw in the spring and anything else I saw. I thought he was a better passer. Obviously, Sherrone Moore thought the same thing as well. So Orji comes in, ran to the right side for a nice first down, 11 yards. Donovan Edwards follows up with an 8-yard run. Donovan Edwards with another first down. Alex Orji for a first down, and then the drive stalled out, and they got a punt. So, and that's how they end up finishing the third quarter, up 13-3. Michigan fan very nervous, going, what's going on here? Early in the fourth quarter, Michigan kicks a 55-yard field goal for a 16-3 lead. There's still 12:42 to go on this thing. And then that's what Fresno quarterback Mikey Keene, who I thought was a pretty scrappy quarterback, he had to calm down a little bit at the first quarter. He was overthrowing everybody. He hooks up with Raylan Sharp for a 17-yard touchdown with 10 minutes to go, and that cuts the lead to one score, 16-10. It was an impressive 7-play, 75-yard drive. They just moved it right through Michigan's defense. Again, seeing things we haven't seen in a long time. Michigan gets the ball back. Orji keeps it for a first down. Nice fake to Edwards, right? And then ran around to the right side for the first down. That's a new element in the offense you have this year that you really didn't see J.J. McCarthy do a lot last year, obviously. Then it was the Khalil Mullings show, not Donovan Edwards. Mullings for 21 yards for longest play of the day from scrimmage for Michigan. Then he follows that up with a 15-yard run, and he follows it up with a 6-yard run. And that's when Davis Warren hooks up with Colston Loveland for an 18-yard touchdown, his first career touchdown pass, and Michigan's got a little breathing room at 23-10. We're under 6 minutes to go, and they had their own 7-play, 75-yard drive. It took about 4 minutes and 17 seconds. That was the first time all night I thought, okay, that looks like Michigan football from last year. It took until then. It took over 3.5 quarters to get going. But then after that, Michigan got a little unfocused. There were a couple penalties, a couple plays that went against them, and they looked like Fresno State was about to score and make this thing a little too interesting. And then right then and there, Will Johnson, who I mentioned earlier in the game, wasn't even on the field at some times, their best defensive back, gets the pick six, 86 yards the other way for the touchdown with under 4 minutes to go. Michigan's up 30-10. That's a wrap. Boom. So people didn't watch the game. They'll see, okay, Michigan won 30-10. They didn't cover the point spread, but they won. And as we pointed out on our podcast many times over the past couple of weeks, remember last year against the lesser teams at the beginning of the season, people were asking what's wrong with Michigan. They're winning, but they're not beating people by the point spread. You know, they had a lot of 30-10 games ish in the beginning of the first month of the season last year. So here we are. Now, by the way, since we're live here, Oregon just went final 24-14 over Idaho. So just get you caught up with another Big Ten team there. We're keeping an eye on that one as well. But 3.5 quarters, there was no running game. For 3.5 quarters, there was no receiving threat. There still isn't really. Quarterback accuracy, no matter who is at quarterback, it's in question. It's not J.J. McCarthy. I will tell you that. Last year's team was the most dominating Michigan team I've ever seen in my entire life. But I'm old enough to have been around a while. By far. The 2024 Michigan team is not that so far. And but they're good. Look, Michigan's going to win a lot of football games. By a lot, does that mean 9? Does that mean 10? They're not going to run the table. I saw Ohio State play today. I saw Penn State play today. There's some good football teams out there, but they got a nice 30-10 win at the end of the day. There's a lot of positive to build on here, particularly in the fourth quarter for Michigan. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Comments are available as well. I'll hit some of those. Plus, it was a big, big day throughout the Big Ten. We'll get you caught up with everything that is going on as we continue with our live edition of Locked On Big Ten. I want to tell you about Factor Meals. Factor Meals make your lives easier. End of the day, you got to eat something. You don't want to cook. Maybe you don't have enough ingredients laying around. You got to go grocery shopping. Factor Meals has them ready to go and all kinds. If you're into protein plus, keto, never frozen meals, calorie smart, they've got it all. Factor Meals, check it out. It'll help you out with your routine. They've got 35 different meals, more than 60 add-ons to choose from each and every week. High quality stuff, some salmon, shrimp, filet mignon. They've got it all. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 and use the code LockedOnCollege50 and get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 and get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Also, passion, drive, and patience. It's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Anything you can think of, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, I want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. Yeah, we're here every day. If you're new to us, you've just discovered us here on Saturday night after a big day of college football. This is a little teaser about what we do each and every day, especially everydayers out there that know we're out here. Thank you. Meanwhile, if you're new, be sure to subscribe. By the way, just in the last 28 days, we've picked up 1,000 new subscribers. I don't know what's going on, but we like it. And it helps us. Just hit subscribe and you'll be notified that we're there each and every day. We do this every day as well. So subscribe and follow and like and share with a friend that you know that likes Big Ten. If you have a friend that might not know we're out here. It's Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. All right, I'm going to take a quick peek at some comments. This is kind of sometimes hard to do while you're alive, and I don't want to bog us down here. But Richard checking in says our offense will be better. This is Michigan, of course, will be a lot better next week, or Texas will hand it to us. Yeah, big game against Texas next week. Michigan Lover 12, not really happy with the coordinating on the defense. Reminded me more of Don Brown than Wink Martindale. Mark checking in. Boy, people were wrong about Kyle McCord. Well, not Syracuse. He had a nice day for Syracuse today, the former Ohio State quarterback. Loveland is a stud, though, according to Richard. And D1-114 says, at least we know the Michigan kicker is legit. That's for sure. That's for sure. That guy can hit the kicks. There's no doubt about that. All right, well, let's continue on here with Locked On Big Ten Live on a Saturday. Thank you, everybody, for checking us out. By the way, we have a website. I just put the crawl on the bottom here. TalkBig10, 10.com. All of our podcasts during the week go there chronologically, and we also group them by school. For example, this one might go under Michigan since we focused on them tonight, although we're going to talk about the other schools in the Big Ten here in just a minute. Also, while you're there, you can get merchandise, Big Ten merchandise from your favorite school, Michigan or whoever you root for. Shirts, hats, pennants on the wall. It's all right there at our website, TalkBig10, 10.com, TalkBig10.com. Check it out. All right. A lot going on. I was very impressed with Penn State's offense today against West Virginia. As I predicted on this podcast this week, started out a little slow because West Virginia is not bad, and it was at West Virginia. Penn State ends up winning 34-12. There was a 2-hour delay at the half. And Penn State was up 20-6 at the half, sloppy start. But then when they got rolling, you could see all the pieces in play with the new offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki. And Drew Aller threw 3 touchdown passes and looked very comfortable. He had a 50-yard touchdown pass to Harrison Wallace III. Do you know they only had 3 50-yard passes or 50 yards of more all of last year? They were spitting them all over the place today. And then throwing to running backs out of the backfield. Katron Allen had a 20-yard touchdown on the backfield. Just a lot of creativity that has been lacking at Penn State. That last drive of the first half, just a quick 3-play, 73 yards, 26 seconds. That stuff's been missing at Penn State. Drew Aller hitting Amari Evans for the 55-yarder. Probably got away with offensive pass interference, if you want to be honest, but they'll take it. And then that nice back shoulder throw to Harrison Wallace III for the 18-yard touchdown. And then you add in the 114 yards that Nick Singleton ran for today. The offense looked really good and imaginative for Penn State as they win. The other thing I was excited to look at, and a lot of people were excited to look at, Nebraska, 40-7 winner over UTEP. Of course, Dylan Raiola, the new freshman quarterback coming in, he looks so comfortable. He doesn't look like a freshman. The moment is not too big for him. Just the opening drive, marched it down, deep ball, check down, 3-quarter arm throw. He did it all just on the first drive. 238 yards and a couple of touchdowns, and then he sat out the end of the game because they had a comfortable lead. Isaiah Nair had 6 catches for 121 yards. This team's foil last year was 31 turnovers. They only had 1 today. So it's 1 more than Matt Rule wanted, but that's better. That's an improvement. Dante Dowell fumbling inside the 5. Otherwise, they would have scored more. 86,000 fans on hand today at Memorial Stadium, all wanting to watch the freshman quarterback and see how, and I think they left home pretty pleased. Ohio State, they didn't cover 48.5. They only won by 48. That defense at Ohio State looked spectacular. Spectacular against Akron. I know it was Akron, but they won 52-6. They had 5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions. And Will Howard looked better than I remember him looking at Kansas State. I know I've been hard on him this summer because he's a 59% passer. Didn't light it up completion-wise, but was good enough. Arm is strong enough. He can keep this offense moving. I liked what I saw if you're a Buckeye fan today. He was 17 of 28, We threw 3 touchdown passes. Jeremiah Smith, the freshman wide receiver, that dude's real. That's the real deal right there. He had a couple of touchdowns in his debut. As I told you, Oregon just beat Idaho by 10. That defensive front, from what I saw, I was paying a lot of attention to the Michigan game tonight. The Oregon game was on at the same time. That defensive front looks spectacular. Dylan Gabriel, I saw he threw a first drive, or one of the first scoring drive. It was an 11-play, 71-yard drive, hooked up with Tez Johnson. There's going to be a lot of that this year. Jordan James had a 12-yard run with the I formation. They got the fullback in there, old school football at Oregon today. That was pretty good. Iowa beat Illinois State 40-0. Going into this game, Iowa was a 22.5-point favorite, and the over-under was 40.5. I told you, always take the under on Iowa, even though, are you kidding me? 40 points by Iowa? I didn't think they'd score the 22 since they were minus 22. They scored 40. Now, in all fairness to me, this was 6-0 at the half. But they still hit the under by half a point. Tim Lester's offense finally clicked in the second half. Cade McNamara threw for 3 touchdowns. Caleb Johnson ran for a couple more, including a 64-yard score. And look, their leading receiver is still going to be a tight end. That's just what they do. Luke Lachey had 6 catches, 63 yards. Aaron Graves had 3 sacks on defense. Jamar Harris had an interception. The defense looked great. Got the shutout. Elsewhere around the Big Ten, Purdue, a 49-0 win over Indiana State. Hudson Card, 4 touchdown passes in that one. The Purdue defense held the Sycamores to 50 yards passing total. Maryland, 50-7 over UConn. They should have beat UConn 50-7. Remember, Talia Tagovailoa is gone. His replacement, Billy Edwards Jr., came in, threw a couple touchdowns to Ty Felton on his way to a 300-yard passing day, 311 to be exact. Indiana, the debut for head coach Curt Cignetti and his new quarterback Curtis Rourke. They beat Florida International 31-7. By the way, Florida International, a tough day. One of their 4 buses broke down. They were late getting to the game. Only got there 2 hours before kickoff. Elijah Green capping off the day with a 51-yard touchdown for the Hoosiers, who start out 1-0. Northwestern, I don't know if you saw this on TV today, but they tore down their football stadium and they're rebuilding it. Going to get a nice one over at Ryan Field. It's going to take a couple years. So they're playing on campus on the old soccer and lacrosse field. They brought in 15,000 bleachers right on the shores of Lake Michigan. It was a gorgeous day out there. The cutaway shots were beautiful. Football, not so much, but Northwestern got the win 13-6. You know, they had an 8-win season last year, 1 down, 7 more to go if they want to match that. Robert Fitzgerald with a game-saving interception late in that one. Meanwhile, a couple other games going on. Washington and Weber State just started. That's a late West Coaster. And UCLA ekes out a win over Hawaii on the road, 16-13. That just went final as well. So a lot of great action in the Big Ten today as we go live here on a Saturday night. And we got a big game tomorrow night in the Big Ten. It's the only game in town. We did a great preview on it a couple days ago. And 2 big ones that we want to look ahead already as we look ahead to week 2 next week. The Big Ten is going to be front and center of college football. I'll tell you about those right here on a live edition of Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about eBay Motors. Let me tell you about 5 Hour Energy. That's what we're going to do here late on a Saturday night, right? 5 Hour Energy. If you're out driving about, blurry-eyed, need some little energy, 5 Hour Energy, that's what you need. If you're tired after lunch at work, you got a bunch of things you don't want to do, 5 Hour Energy can give you the boost that you need. Great flavors, help you stay alert, 0 sugar, portable sizes. 5 Hour Energy has flavors like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, bunch of favorites. And you can mix and match when you order, whether a 12-pack or 24-pack. So go ahead and do that. And if you go to 5hourenergy.com, it's the number 5, 5hourenergy.com. Get some 5 Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code. It's Locked On CFB and receive 20% off your order. And the offer is only good until September 30th. and the order cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription users. So go to 5hourenergy.com today. That's 5hourenergy.com. Okay, I want to kind of tidy this up a little bit by looking ahead. I'm going to check a couple of comments real quick, and then we're going to preview what's going on. We got the Trojans on here on Sunday. Let's see. Kevin checking in. It's the first game. It seems like we do this every year. Clunker against Rutgers last year. These are Michigan fans checking in. John Doe says Fresno should consider using their backup quarterback. I don't know. I thought the one they had was pretty tough. First interception was underthrown, then a perfect throw to the wide receiver. Stopped running. Loveland and O'Leary, lots of drops or big drops today. Mark checking in. The quarterback play nowhere near what it needed to be. And Shepherd Ducks checking in. That was awful. Duck fan. Let's talk about the Ducks that only won by 10 today. A little surprised by that margin of score. Mark checking in. The Ducks look very vulnerable. See, and I'm glad you're checking in because I spent most of the night watching the Michigan game and flipping over to Oregon every once in a while. We love focusing on Oregon. We love having them in the Big Ten. I'm very excited about them, and I love talking about them on this podcast. But tonight, had to make a choice a little bit. So I'm glad to hear that your opinion on the Ducks and what's going on. Mark checking in. Kirk Ferentz should just get his team ready and take Saturday off. 40-0 for Iowa today. Yeah. Callie, how do you feel about Rutgers' performance the other night? They had that 6:00 game the other night. Not bad. It got better, right, as the game went on. So very interesting. Dean says Michigan is in trouble. Hard to imagine how we will beat Texas, Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. Could be some there for 3 quarters. I was thinking the same thing as you guys on that. All right. So USC and LSU Sunday night football. Did a great preview on it the other day. You can go find it on our website, talkbig10.com, and check that out. But we got Lincoln Riley and Miller Moss for the Trojans. They got 4 really big, exciting receivers at USC, and they're going to cut through that porous LSU defense of Brian Kelly's Tigers. That's what I think is going to happen on Sunday night. We know the Trojans will score. I'm very curious to see if the defense has gotten any better. They can't be giving up 32 points a game like they have the last 2 years and expect to win in the Big Ten or Sunday night against LSU. I do expect that to be a shootout and a high-scoring affair, but we'll see if they tighten up the belt on defense at all. And we'll feature that game on Monday's Locked On Big Ten podcast, by the way. I'm sure we'll be all over USC and LSU. So heading into the week, we'll also preview some of the big games coming up. Texas and Michigan. Some of you already talked about it on the comments. That's a big one. It's a maize out. It's at the big house, and everybody's gonna be wearing maize out there. What the Orange Texas team? It's gonna be good. That's a big noon kickoff on Fox, and then the 7:30 game on NBC Peacock. Colorado, Coach Prime Deion Sanders and his 2 kids on the team coming into Nebraska to take on Dylan Raiola and Matt Rule. And after what I saw Nebraska do today, this freshman is not fazed by anything. They're going to be fine. That's going to be a great game. In fact, we'll go live next Saturday after that game on NBC, about the same time as we're on tonight, after Colorado and Nebraska next week. But Dylan Raiola, that story is great. His dad, Dominic, played there. He was there Saturday. His uncle's offensive line coach. And the Buffaloes coming in. They had to hang on and win over FCS North Dakota State the other night. So we're thrilled about it. We're thrilled if you found us here live on Saturday nights while we do it. In case you're not aware, we're doing this every weekday, Monday through Friday. They're not live then, but they are now. So we always pick a key game on Saturday night, like to go live, see if we can get some new people. We're glad you're with us here tonight. And many ways for you to interact with us. First of all, again, if you're new, subscribe, and then you'll be alerted every day that when we're out here, we put out our audio and YouTube video versions. We have 2 different ones. I mean, it's the same one, but one's audio only, one's video only. They come out at 6 a.m. Eastern every single day. And so if you subscribe, it'll be waiting for you when you're ready for it. So subscribe and then share. Tell your friends about us. Share if somebody you know, a Big Ten fan or alum, let them know we're out here every day. And like this podcast each and every day. You can interact with us on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. You can also hit us up on the website, talkbig10.com, and hit us up with email there. And then your comments on YouTube back and forth are hilarious. Love it. Keep it going. So be sure to subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Also, don't forget our friends at Locked On College Football. They're out here too every day, available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Again, they're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. The first weekend of college football. We've made it through it. We're ready to go. A big weekend next weekend. We'll be previewing it all week long right here on Locked On Big Ten. Thanks for checking us out. We'll talk to you next time. I'm Craig Shemon for Locked On Big Ten. We'll talk to you next time.